I think I'm gonna wear my shades.
I can take care of her another way.
Wear my shades.
It fits because that's exactly sounding like somebody who's proud to be a side nigga.
I'm not proud.
Joe, you are so proud.
I can take care of her in other ways.
You are so proud to be a side nigga. Yes, you are.
You love it. You actually thrive in that environment.
That's what you want. It's your goal in life.
Dre, you laughing, but it's true. This is from knowing Joe for a while now.
Okay.
Nigga, let it be a side nigga.
Yes, we're ready.
Of course.
Hello, gamblers. We're back. And we had such a great time talking with our special guest, Joe, and said, you know what? We're going to bring it back one more time.
Yeah.
One more time for the one time. So welcome back.
Thank you. I got my shades on for this one because it's going to be spicy.
Yeah, this is going to be a little more spicy.
Yeah.
I am Kenya, as always. We have Masa.
Hello.
We have Dre.
Yep.
And we got Joe again. And so we're going to get into some things here on this here episode. We brought it up a little bit. You had mentioned that there are some challenges to dating.
Right into it.
Yeah, we get right into it. We're not here to waste time, y'all. Yeah, we get right into it.
Let's get it common.
All right.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's
Okay.
talk about dating in Africa, namely Sierra Leone, Ghana, versus dating in the United States. The differences, the challenges, the nuances.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences. I would say that when I lived in New York and in LA, to get the quality of women that I wanted to get, I would throw like house parties so that people could see my apartment and know that I was a high income earner.
What is it called? What was Kevin Samuel's name? High value man.
High value man.
You're a high
Now, I
value
will
man.
say the thing about that is that only speaks to income, so that doesn't necessarily make a high value person, but I am a high value man because outside of finances, there are other values that I
Better know
pursue.
your
Shot your chef, bro.
What is that
Shout your
criteria
shot,
for
bro.
those who don't know?
To be a high value man.
Yeah, so in my opinion, in my definition, it's someone who can add to all areas of your life if you're in their life. So one is I'm gonna make sure you learn more about yourself. You're gonna make sure you learn more about the world around you. Whatever your goals are and your dreams are, I'll help you achieve those. I'm a person that ensures that you are financially independent of other people, right? That's what I do for those who spend time with me. My goal has always been to leave people better than they were when they met me.
I know that's right.
And so in any way, I will add value to your life. So it's not just income, it's all around improvement.
That's interesting that you say that though, because when I've heard people talk about high value men, specifically Kevin Samuels, he was never referring to like what the man is actually offering to the woman to better her.
Yeah.
It was about him being like the prize, basically.
Yeah, so mostly what they're talking about in the red pill world is someone who's a high income earner who also has a network. They have to build their value. The idea is that women are born with value, right? They can only decrease their value over time. The idea is that as they age, their value goes down. As you have children, as you've been married, or as
Just all the things that women have to do.
Yeah.
You know who just talked about this? That's kind of gone viral a little bit was Ebony K. Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
She just talked
She's
about
talking about
that.
jobs and things like that. And so the thing is for a guy, right? Because generally a man values youth, and your past matters to a man. Most of the time for women, your future matters to a woman.
Okay.
And so what is your income earning potential, right? And how much are you earning now? Right now is an indicator of what your potential income earning might be. So that is why I had to utilize that to my advantage. Now, this is pre-red pill and all that. It was just what I understood to be the case. If you're in a dating marketplace, this is important. You know, if you want to attract a woman who has many suitors, right? You are going to have to stand out. So I think finances are one thing, but because I don't spend my finances, I have to add value in other ways.
But the thing about you that would
But I value in other ways,
frustrate
though.
me if I were ever
In that line.
in the lineup, if I was ever in the lineup to run this marathon race that you expect these women to run so they can benefit from your future, is that you would introduce me to you by bringing me to that
You
your
brought
house.
me to your apartment.
So that's your penthouse.
Your
view.
$7,000 a month
Your
apartment.
8,000 square foot.
3,000.
Your 8,000 square foot.
I know where you're going with this.
Penthouse overlooking the Staples Center.
Yes.
So now I think I've got one
You
guy.
hooked him.
I've hooked one.
Only to
big-
come and now tell me I don't really.
Only to
spend
come
like
come
that.
and tell me that you are giving Uber money to the exact city
Mm-hmm.
when chicks want to leave your house.
So it's giving bait and switch. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
It is.
Joe,
No.
why no? So what was the point of even bringing her to show you how you live it?
Because that lets you know what the income earning potential is.
Oh,
But
That's
she's
my
not
money,
going
not
to
hers.
experience it unless she's your wife.
Listen.
50 years from now.
Listen, if you are with me in a relationship, you do get the financial benefits. But until
why?
we get
I'm gonna
there,
eat when you go out to eat.
no, but until we get there, I need to determine that it's worth that investment financially.
How?
How?
How
Time,
are they getting
time,
the
energy, and
financial
effort
benefit?
helps me get there. Okay, for example, the ex that I dated, who was from Sierra Leone, who moved to Nigeria.
Oh, that.
You know,
Shout out to you.
That
shout
one
out
did.
to her. So she, if she wanted to do some wholesale and she needed like $500 or something like that, I could give it to her. You know, because she was my girl and we invested some time, energy, and effort together, and I could see it helping her.
Was that because
progress.
it was for her business? Because what if she was just like, I want $500 to get this new hair that came out?
Well, that would be an issue, because I
Okay.
think that's a waste of money. I think if she's gonna have $500, it should go into her business, and then 2 years from now, she could buy all the hair she wants.
Okay,
2 years
Papa.
from now.
What I mean is, if she was going, what I mean is, if she was herself by herself and she
Oh,
had
yeah.
$500 that she made from
Because
the
she's
business,
built the business.
as she's building the business, she'll be able to buy whatever she
Now
wants.
she can afford to
It's
buy
called
her own
delayed
hair.
gratification. I'm not spending that money on things that, like $500 on hair and nails, when that can go into your business, that can exponentially grow your business, so that together in 2 years from now we are growing together. You know, so like for me, I'm not doing that. Now other people might want to do that. That's up to them.
It's a whole country of dudes out here doing that.
Oh, there's countries of dudes out here
Okay,
doing
but
that.
we know one in particular.
But see, for me, I would tell you right now, this young lady has a boyfriend now
from
Now.
that country.
from that country
That's
You know
spending
you
country.
that has spent over $30,000 in a year and a half.
And he locked down the baby.
Does he have any brothers, sis?
He does actually have brothers.
Holla at me.
So,
He locked down
as
the
far as
baby.
I understand. But I will say this though, he is trying to buy her affection. She still wants my affection.
But some people would say, then jog na you and then
But
jog
they didn't, because I broke up with her. 2 months later, she called me and said, I met this guy on the plane. Is it okay if I date
Well,
him?
Joe, well,
I
then
gave her
Joe, that baby
permission.
will-
I gave her permission to date the guy.
Joe,
2
well,
months
then
after
the
we
baby
broke
will-
up. Now, she also calls me Wise Spender. That's her name that she calls me. She affectionately calls me Wise Spender because she always felt like I didn't really just throw out cash. But she still, to this day, still would prefer me over him because of the value I've added in so many areas of her life when he's just
Oh
been
my
dropping
God.
cash. I'm just saying. So,
Joe,
now,
I'm just saying right now, if that dude said that he wanted to put a ring on her finger, she's married, she's done, and that would make you the what?
oh no,
Side.
no, we don't.
Right
we-
now.
right now, her and I
There's a
don't
what?
have anything. We don't
Right.
have anything.
You right now,
He's openly dating.
even if you wanted to have
They're
something with
free to
her,
date
I am here to
whoever.
tell you that because of this other nigga, that makes you the side.
That's your words.
So this is the thing about you, from me to you,
Mm-hmm.
is that you really, your machinations and shenanigans in the dating world, as I have observed it, are really everything that would be frustrating to me
Mm-hmm.
as somebody who naturally leans towards monogamy.
Mm-hmm.
If I were dating in the African pool,
Mm-hmm.
it's everything that would be frustrating to me as someone who leans towards monogamy.
Yeah.
And I can't speak for all African countries everywhere. I can't even speak for Ghana, because I don't know anybody who's been deeply entrenched in a Ghanaian love saga. But I can speak very well for Sierra Leone and those relationships, like young love, that young Sierra Leonean love. And man, it's like you always there in competition or expected to be competing for the prize.
Yeah.
But both people in the relationship think that they're the prize.
Yeah.
So both of y'all out here competing for each other, and there's other people in the background and in the periphery, and everybody knows it. The whole family knows it. Your whole friendship circles know it. The world sees you out, because again, as you said, there's like one main road in Sierra Leone. There's a few, main lounges. So everybody sees all of this interaction happening, but everybody want to be the main baby. That's it. As long as I know, I mean, like main baby, and I think that starts from childhood. I remember being at Annie Walsh, and like like in a boarding home or at these, because our schools are mainly segregated by gender. I realize it's not really a big thing in Ghana. It's not as big, I think, as it is in Sierra Leone, right? So separated by gender. So you'll have your best friend and you'll get your girlfriend, right? But then you'll have your states. That's what we used to call it. That's my states. Meaning that's my main best friend.
Okay.
And the rest of you guys are my side best friends. So that then translates into adulthood, and you enter the dating pool and you meet up with Johannes or Hotagua. who will have you out here competing with Sierra Leonean's finest.
But the thing is that it doesn't stop with dating, because it also goes into the marriage. And she's like, as long as I know I'm the wife.
He comes home to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Sierra Leoneans being Sierra Leonean, we like to pepe. Because like you said, we brought that Nigerian flavor into Sierra Leone. And this is, I don't want Nigerians to think that we're coming for them. Any Nigerians watching this podcast,
no, we love
not
Nigerians.
But studies show that Nigerian women are the cheating most women in the whole world.
No, I did see that study.
That they are the cheating most women in the whole world. Again, because always competing. You find one Nigerian millionaire, and what if you can finesse and find a Dangote? Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you just keep once you can get to Simon's level, from Simon it's maybe a short leap to a Dangote, So like it frustrates me, because I still think of things like from a monogamous point of view, like monogamy is my goal. And then I hear a you. And then I hear a you, and you just out here loving all the crew.
Well, here's the thing.
And the crews are loving you back.
Here's the thing. We're living in a world, an entire world, where people are always looking for the bigger, better deal. Right?
But why?
Because you just know that there's always something better out there.
But what if what you have is great and amazing?
That's the challenge, though. I mean, we just live in a world where, like, how many microwaves are at zero? Everybody nobody has patience, right? Like, think about your microwave at home. In fact, the other day I pressed start.
Well, that's because I don't want to hear that hooting and hollering, as I saw on a meme the other day. I'm gonna stop the microwave before it gets to zero, just because.
Okay, because you wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my point is nobody wants to wait. Nobody has patience, right? That's just the world we live in. People talking a microwave society, but really is true that things happen. People want things to happen quickly. And so if you're with your person who you've been with since you were young and he hasn't generated the income you want him to generate yet, and there's somebody there who has the income, you're gonna start taking that income. That's how it works here. Same thing on the other end. As a guy, for us, sometimes there are some challenges, behavioral challenges that we'd like to see changed or corrected, and if they're not changing or correcting soon enough, you meet someone else who has those things, you may be there.
What behavioral challenges have you seen in African women?
So depending on the tribe and depending on where we are, there are some people who are very hot-headed. They don't have a very good way of dealing with challenges. Conflict resolution is a challenge for some people.
Name the Sierra Leonean tribes. I'm so intrigued.
Oh, what you trying to do?
I won't say any specific tribes. I will say that
say it with your chest.
No, I mean there are. I mean, just in general, culturally, we're more confrontational in Sierra Leone and in Nigeria, and so from time to time, when you get into a disagreement, it generally is one that's more heated unnecessarily. It's like 0 to 100 real quick. And for me, I'm the type of person who likes to have a conversation, not an argument. And so I disengage very quickly. And so if most of the time it's good, but those moments you have, I will reduce the amount of time that I spend with someone who has that kind of an attitude. And I look for solace in someone else. I already deal with a stressful life. I don't want to come home and deal with more stress.
Now, when you're looking for this solace in someone else, are you ending the whatever you had with the other person, or you just say, I'm gonna get back to you when you've calmed down a little bit?
It depends on the agreement I have with that other person.
Joe, you love these agreements.
Love an agreement. Not a relationship, but an agreement.
One of my favorite books is The 4 Agreements, by the way, so everybody go read that. But I do believe in giving people all the information they need up front to make an educated decision about whether or not they want to move forward with you, right? And so no one is unclear about the lifestyle I live or our relationship. It's all very clear, and they can decide if they want to continue or not. That's it.
Okay, that's interesting to bring up. And how is that working well, that was the same when you were in the U.S. as well, right?
It was the same in the U.S. I would say while I was in the U.S., I had a much lower closing ratio than I do in West Africa. For sure.
Why do you think that is?
Big bombs over here.
Man, what?
So when I was in the States, right? As I mentioned before, I would have to do things to ensure that I could get the quality of woman that I wanted to.
Okay, starting with And inviting them to your
I would have house parties, and I was always open to, you want to invite your friends, invite all your friends, no problem, you know. And so that was always helpful because that introduced me to new people who were in the realm of the type of women I wanted to date.
Okay.
Here.
What type of woman did you? No, let's get into it. What type of woman did you want to date in the States?
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I love an educated woman, right? I really love high income earners.
Okay.
Who doesn't? Well, actually, I shouldn't say who doesn't.
Yeah,
Actually, many men don't.
Most men say it doesn't matter how much a woman makes.
Most men will say that. Yeah. For me, I like high income earners because I want a woman to want me, not need me.
Okay.
Right? Some people want someone to need them. I don't want someone to need me. I want someone to want me, not need me. Because if they need you, as soon as they don't need you, if they didn't want you, they'll go somewhere else.
That has to be so difficult in Africa if that was your first criteria, high income.
Well, that's why I'm very clear here. I just say I don't spend. So now you decide if you want me or not, and that's fine. And so, so for me in the States, a high income earner, well educated, someone who was into the same things that I was into. So who cares about what's happening in the Black community? Who is looking for solutions? Who's working on solutions? And someone I could just all around have fun with. I could vibe with. Who was, I would say probably a little bit more open to alternative lifestyles.
Alternative lifestyles. Let's get into it.
More open
now.
to alternative lifestyles maybe than just like the general straight-laced young lady that's out there in the world. So that was what I would more prefer. I would gravitate towards in the States. And so the more that I could show that my lifestyle is a very interesting and fun one, the easier it was to be able to attract those kinds of women.
Okay.
And so that's why my apartment was important, because I didn't drive a car. So, right, because usually your car will tell you everything about something, especially living in LA. I lived in LA for 4 years, so you already know. If you lived in LA, you know what I mean. So if you don't have a car, then how else can you show? So house parties is a good way to do it. Apartment building with a pool, overseeing, Staples Center. You got a view of the downtown LA skyline, like that kind of stuff I think is really helpful for attracting those kinds of things.
Okay, so then coming to Africa,
Yeah.
how have you had to adjust?
Well, first of all, my income is different.
Okay.
So I don't have a place like that. But the thing is, like having a blue passport here is like being 6 foot there, right? So being an American has helped me attract those kinds of women here. And I'm also a different kind of person. It's like I said, I'm honest and upfront from the beginning. I think most women are used to people that are going to lie to them. And so because I'm honest and upfront, in the States, that level of honesty, some people will be like, yo, that's crazy. And there was a lot of first dates. Here,
I can imagine.
there are more women that are willing to go on the ride with me. You know what I'm saying? And so, because for me, it's like, at least he's honest about it. Most people, they'll say most women you ask here, you ask them, like, do you think a man can be monogamous? And most women here will say no.
Yeah.
They're like, just don't have the side girls calling me, don't have any babies, don't bring home any diseases. As long as I don't know about it, I'm fine.
That's a very African mentality. We
It's
talked
part of the
about
culture.
that. Yeah, we
it's
talked
just part
about
of
that
the
in the last
culture.
relationship.
You know what I'm saying? And women that are millennials, Gen Z, Gen X will say they don't want their person cheating, but they also will say they don't expect them to be monogamous forever. So when I'm honest about my lifestyle choices and what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do in the very beginning, I think there have been some that are like, not okay with that, but for the most part, people are going along for the ride, and it's the kind of women that I find interesting when I first meet them, and it's been
Fun.
It's been a good time.
You had a
So
good time.
Joe, the interesting part for me is that you aren't like a traditional person when it comes to relationships, and you talk about
Sure.
these alternative lifestyles and whatnot.
Sure.
But then when we've asked you directly, so when it comes to marriage, would you be interested in polygamy? You always kind of say it in like a joking way, like, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, of all people, I feel like you would just be like, certainly, yeah, I'll probably just have more than one wife.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I mean, yeah, that's maybe an ideal scenario, but unlikely.
Why?
Right? Because of the challenges with laws and with stigma.
There's no laws or stigmas against polygamy in Sierra Leone. And
No, but of
really-
course I'll probably be married like based on U.S. law and things like that.
So, like, going back to the US with your
just
two
because
wives.
I have property and things there, if I die, the person I'm with needs to be able to inherit. You know, there are things that are going to be required by law. So that makes
these
challenges.
are the things that are stopping you from.
Well, those are part of it, and there's also stigma associated with it, right? So I much prefer to be with someone who her and I have agreements, and we work out in a way where we can do things, where we can include others without it being on paper, right? Like polygamy is like a lifestyle, it's an outward lifestyle. I prefer that what I do behind closed doors stays behind closed doors.
Stay in the dark, huh?
Yeah. You know, like, no, honestly, I want.
All day.
I mean,
me and my wife would like to thank you.
There's 100 CDs.
There you go.
100, your 67 CDs and 50 pesos to go home.
To go home. And wait for us to call you.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you,
Don't call
because
me.
I'll call you, and she'll probably be the one having that conversation. You know, I think for me, to be honest with you, that is more likely the lifestyle that I would live, because there's no way to. Because I'm more discreet. Like, this conversation is not a conversation I have often on camera. I'm more discreet about how I live my life, and anyone who I ever date, I want them to be that way. Because the problem with you living an alternative lifestyle in the street
out loud
is that is how you are remembered by those people that you meet, not about all the other things that you do.
And then when you know that guy, the swinger, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or that guy, the polygamist.
The polygamist,
yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's been important for me to not be as open, and wanted to wait until I had an audience already and a ton of content doing other things.
Okay.
So people don't see me as I did like a whole month of dating conversations last year, and when I went to London, I went to my aunt's house. And one of the things that she mentioned to me was I did 60 lives. She mentioned one thing from one live from that one day. And I was like, see, that's why you don't have conversations like this. Because that is, you get pigeonholed. And I read 2 books about polyamory. And in both of those books, they said, be careful who you have these conversations with, especially at work. Because then you become that instead of all the other things that you've done. And so, for me, you know, and also too, the world of polyamory, there's as many ways to do polyamory as there are people doing polyamory. Once there's an alternative lifestyle, there's no one way to do it, and people start to associate you with whatever other things they've seen in that lifestyle. So if there is, you know, there are many heterosexual polyamorous people, right? But most people have seen like a TV show or 2 on Showtime or something, and they're like, oh, it's probably like
threesome.
Yeah, with like guys and girls and all that, you know what I'm saying? So it's also like there's a lot of explaining that you have to do. And so I prefer that whoever is a life partner of mine, she understands that we live our life at home, and then wherever we live out in public, we present as mostly professional. You know what I'm saying?
In my perception, Ghanaians really pride themselves on being modest, outwardly speaking.
Yes.
Like, they present themselves as very modest, very Christian, very quiet, non-confrontational, wholesome. That's how they present themselves. And I've had more than one guy, this Nigerian guy, he said something about how it was really refreshing and relaxing to be here dating like Ghanaian women because of their temperaments. Like, their default setting is modest and quiet and non-argumentative, which is a complete opposite, certainly from Sierra Leonean women. I would presume it's very opposite from many Nigerian women. So how was it being here in Nigeria dating? In Ghana dating, and trying to introduce people to this, like, you know, alternative lifestyle versus Sierra Leone?
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting, right? Because dating in Ghana, I seriously dated one woman here. You know, that was interesting because I think she understood. I mean, we're honest from the very beginning. She understood where I was coming from. She was definitely very modest, professional, you know, master's degree holder, department head at the company that she worked at. So I was very impressed by her before we even started dating, right? But her and I had a lot of conversations about her decision to want to be more involved in her religion, right? And how she was going to the extremes of that religion, and how she needed a partner that was going to help her get there. And but she wasn't willing to do the polygamy part of it.
Which is crazy.
Which is, but she was a Muslim, and she was, you know, she wanted to move towards hijab and all of that. But her temperament was very, except for the 4-page letter at the very end, in general, she would communicate. She would communicate.
Because you pushed her to the
I didn't push anybody anywhere. She walked right up to the edge.
Stressed that lady.
So I would say this. You know, we had a few disagreements, and what I appreciated about her is that we would talk them out. We would talk them through. We would have conversations. When I dated Nigerians or Sierra Leoneans, they weren't conversations. They were monologues, but they were screaming at me. You know, and
you want to give us that back now?
Joe, gosh, that's hurtful.
We Sierra Leonean women
Screaming monologues?
You
Guys,
know that
we don't
happens.
scream. We don't
Look at Joe's
scream.
face.
Stop it.
We don't scream.
Stop acting shocked. Stop acting shocked.
I am shocked.
Sierra Leonean women?
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, and not in all cases. You know, I met a young lady in Sierra Leone that, at least in the very beginning, she was very good at communicating. But I also mentioned how important that is for me. And an ex of mine has told me recently she no longer screams in her communication.
Look at Joe making people better.
She told me now. She said I've been working on myself. She said, but yeah. So I mean, that's a major difference. But I will say, you know, that conservative nature though also it bleeds into other areas. So where you can find it that they might be modest in their communication and in their disagreements, they also can be more modest just in terms of the relationship status and even in terms of sometimes their willingness to be as intimate and as often and as early as you might like. You know?
You mean Ghanaians versus...
In some cases, yeah.
Hey, Joe, why are you
in
at
some
our
cases.
heads as Sierra Leonean? So first of all, hold up.
In
So
some
we
cases.
loudmouth,
And loose.
I didn't know what the other word was to use to say on camera. So we loudmouth and loose is
I'm not saying that.
What did you say? Because that's what I heard.
No, what I'm...
Look, that's what I heard.
Right.
That's what I heard.
So
Joe.
you guys see what just happened here, right?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You see, if there was a Ghanaian here, she'd be like, okay, I understand.
I get it.
Interesting. I get it.
There's not a Ghanaian here.
Exactly.
There's
So you don't see. When I watch.
Jeez.
So look, no, but seriously, I would say, but that's not all. I'm just saying in general. Now, there are some things that translate across everywhere, and it's challenging to earn an income here in all of West Africa. So people who have large lump sums of money are going to grab the attention of any young lady in any country in West Africa. And it doesn't matter how wholesome she is, if they're spending money, she's at least going to entertain it. Because this same woman I was talking about, there were some vehicles that were acquired, iPhones that were acquired, that I'm not exactly sure with her income how they were acquired. You know, I know where she worked, I knew how much she made. So that happened before I met her, and you know, she was saying that they were generous gifts, but they came from someone.
From people's mandem.
You know,
From people's mandem.
There was a young lady who had her rent paid here at this building that I lived in. That the security guard told me that she had a boyfriend who was a government official. He had armed security.
Mandem.
He had armed security that would stand at the gate when the car would come to park to come meet her. Her rent was paid for her vehicle. She had a vehicle on the premises that was paid for. And when you meet her, she's a very modest young lady. She spoke very proper. You know, she was very well educated. But her rent and her car was paid for by a minister. And the security guy was trying to hook us up, and I was like, nah.
You don't want those problems?
Do not want those problems. I do not want those problems.
Deported.
Right, exactly. So maybe that's why Joe had to get up out of here in a hurry.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
And actually, I guess the question goes both ways. You haven't been to Sierra Leone. We've been telling you how it'll be the time of your life. We need to take you one day, but you haven't been. So now hearing this other man describe Sierra Leonean women versus Ghanaian women, who do you think that you would more naturally sort of vibe with?
I don't know necessarily. I mean, it depends on the woman. I mean, actually, I don't really deal with confrontation. I just don't do that.
Yep.
I'm not a confrontational person. I'm so laid back where it takes a lot where if you get under my skin, I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't get to that point. I leave before it gets to that point.
Mhm.
And so probably more
Oh.
Ghanaian.
So we lost the audio then.
Oh, this whole episode is
Do
gonna
you
be.
guys, do you guys have a gen?
We do.
Don't
Okay.
worry, this whole episode is gonna be camera audio.
Probably
Okay.
more Ghanaian because they're more laid back. I'm a laid back person. And so I don't come off with a whole bunch of energy. You know what I mean? I don't track that energy. You know what I mean? I'm laid back in the cut. If it's too much energy, I'm not entertaining it at all. You know what I mean? I just don't do that. I mean, I don't want no confrontation. Easy going. So probably Ghanaians. You know what I mean? Because they laid back like I'm laid back. So I've never been to Freetown, never been to Sierra Leone. So, you know, we'll see when I get there. You know what I mean? How it's going to be. You know, might find the one. And
I
might
guess
find that one.
Right,
You know what I mean? So,
snatched up.
right.
Many men have fallen.
Yeah.
Many men have got snatched up and trapped.
Yeah,
Serial
there's
killer.
definitely, but
Yeah.
you know what? This is a generalization because,
For sure.
first of all, these are women that Joe is attracting because Joe also gives off a lot of energy.
Man.
You're a very energetic guy, so you
And
give off the
guys
energy.
are very-
Because there's another brand of Sierra Leonean woman that is cool. That's just cool, like
Yeah,
You know what
I would
I'm
say so.
saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general though we're more confrontational culturally and passionate. So I wanted to clean that up because I felt like I
Clean
said,
it up.
I said
That's
screaming
what you're doing.
monologues.
Clean it up.
I
said screaming monologues, and I do want to say we're just more a passionate group of folks.
Yeah, I can't even give it to you. It's you attracting that, because
No.
now because we have a guest, a stranger, like family's talking, and there's a guest in the house.
Yeah.
Because Drace, I'm just trying to think like, I don't want him to think that it's all Sierra Leonean women, because there are some Sierra Leone like, you know what? Yeah, I got something for you, and they're not gonna say too much. You know what I'm saying?
Because
That's true.
they'll just
That's
use
true.
silent.
They go like, all right,
Yeah,
I
like,
got something for you. Mhm.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta talk in generalizations generally, right?
You do.
I mean, there of course anywhere there are people on the margins. There are exceptions to the rule. But we're talking about the rule.
No,
And to be honest, if we're a confrontational society, it manifests itself in many ways. We just are. You guys know that.
No, we are.
No,
We've
listen.
said that.
We
Listen,
said
it.
off
Okay.
top, we've said from the minute you come to the airport, have you even arrived
Yeah.
at Lunge National Airport if there's not a near fisticuff fight and somebody's not actually like going toe to toe with an armed guard? Is it even Sierra Leone? You might be in the wrong place. But what I am saying as I think back through my dating and marriage history, I have shown up. No, I've always shown up as the same person. The person I show up as is very wifey, very nurturing, very caring, very physical. Like I'm everything in the beginning. That's how I show up. But the person that I leave as depends on how you presented yourself to me.
Sure.
So the relationship, I've only ever dated one Sierra Leonean, and you know who you are. We have a son, you know yourself.
Right. It's not a secret.
You know yourself. And honestly, he's very much like Joe. Very talkative, very engaging,
Very friendly with the ladies.
very friendly with the ladies, but not just with the ladies, with everybody.
Well, yeah.
Life of the party, handsome dude, like just like somebody like you would see him in a club and like it would be a beacon of people over there. Doesn't know how to, like, he's Mr. everybody's friend. And he truly was the last person in my life, and this was nearly not 20 years ago. Our son is 17, so but still, well over a decade ago, he was the last person that got screaming monologues out of me, and there were many.
Yeah.
There were many, and he earned them.
Okay.
So it's something about what I'm saying is you're the drama.
So what I'm trying to figure out is what I'm trying to figure out. What's our problem with Joe? Polygamy Joe right here.
First of all, let's be very clear. We come from a very Muslim and very polygamous background. Our mother's father had too many wives from her mom to recall. She has to get her siblings together and they'll be like, no, but you remember Mariama. But no, don't you remember Aisatu? Well, then back in began Mamuna. So they sit down together and have to truly put their collective brains together to think about who all the wives are and then who all the siblings were. So we come from a very polygamous background on our mother's side.
What's the problem with Joe though?
Joe
problem with me
Joe
is
doesn't say that he's a polygamist.
Joe, he doesn't
No.
Joe
say.
doesn't claim polygamy.
No,
We understand polygamy.
No, this is their issue. Their issue with me is that I meet the criteria of a friend in all these areas except for how I date. I think they feel like I should be a different person how I'm dating.
We don't think you should be different.
Oh, you guys argue with me all the time about how I do things. You argue about me. You argue with me all the time about how I think. Yes, you guys. It's like I used to know that there was a young lady I dated in LA, and she was like, "Joe, I always thought you were a good guy." I'm like, I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was saying that, right?
You got it.
She was like, I always thought you were a good guy.
Go ahead.
Right? And I'm like, but I am a good guy.
Okay.
The problem is, I'm not exactly the guy you want me to be. That is the difference.
Well, when you said that, that brought it home, because yeah, it makes sense. Because I'm like,
It's tracking.
with all these stories, I'm like, Joe,
It's tracking. You up.
You
You
dude.
But I'm honest and open. I'm just not the way you want me to
I
be.
hate a Negro that's
The
killing
thing,
you
but I don't want it to be
and
worded
killing
as the.
you and talk about I'm big, but I was honest.
I don't want it to be
But I
the
was
way that
honest.
we want you to be, as if. I mean, because it doesn't affect us. The way you
Right.
date doesn't really affect us. We just
Right.
hear the stories. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But it's just like, wow, you really, that's how you live it, huh?
It sounds
Yeah.
torturous. Again, coming
Specifically for the women involved. For them.
it's entertainment for us. It's nothing but entertainment and fun,
Yeah.
right? For us, but
But for the ones who are actually caught up in the
I'm
feelings.
thinking about
and
how they would feel. Like, how?
Okay,
Joel,
but the thing
yes.
is that I let everybody know at the very beginning and throughout what you're signing up for when you're dating me, right? There are no questions, there are no misunderstandings. You know what you're getting.
But women naturally don't. We
All
don't
of
hear
this-
you. It doesn't matter how many different ways you
But
say
whether
it.
we hear
So
you
that's
or
our
not.
problem. Is
Yeah,
that
so
he's
you-
being open and honest up front, but the things he's putting the women through, even though he's told them, you're feeling for those women.
We're feeling
in a
for them
relationship-
because we
relationship.
know
That's
And
a
I'm not
that
putting
they-
them through it.
that's
They're
a
putting
problem.
Because
me
if
through
they
it.
think that they're going to change it, because women just naturally think that if we've already assessed that you are a good guy, blue passport holder, fine boy, no pimples, beard from ear to ear uninterrupted, and then this one
Not saying he's
thing.
uninterrupted here.
Uninterrupted.
There's one thing, because we're surrounded by him today.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
there's this one thing
Mhm.
that we can't get a handle on. We always think, especially in Zealand, we have all kinds of names for women like that. Beatrice, because we beer.
Yeah.
Like, we know how to put in time and put in work and just hope that one day we will be the one standing there and I shall be at our 30th wedding anniversary. A stepmom in our own marriage. Multiple times. But we are the ones that will be there I shall be at our 50th wedding anniversary, making the story look pretty. Like, that is such a Sierra Leonean African way okay, not African, I don't know what they do in Uganda, I don't know what they do in Ghana. That's a very Sierra Leonean mentality. Like, at the end of the day, I was the wife, I was the one with the ring. So when I hear you say things like this, yes, for me, some of it is triggering, because I know it doesn't matter how many ways you try to lay out the ground rules. At the end of the day, most women want their man to be monogamous or mainly monogamous. And Joe out here like, I love the ladies love me, what do you want me to do?
That's
What do
exactly
you
how
want
it
me
is.
to
What do you
do?
want me to do?
What do you want me
They
to
love
do?
it. They're asking for it.
What I
They're
mean,
signing up for
they
it.
getting everything
They're begging for it.
They're begging for it.
LL Joe, ladies love Joe.
Man,
Oh, that's what
LL Cool
I say LL Cool Joe. LL Cool Joe. Just a cool
Specifically
dude.
in West Africa.
Just a cool dude.
I definitely do much better here than I did in the States.
That
But I
closing
think-
ratio.
Oh, for sure.
Man.
No, but okay, but so that's the thing though, right? It's like I am overly honest, and I think the thing is like I share information that most people would just omit, so that you are very clear on what you're getting. There is no question. So I think having been in a polyamorous relationship previously, I think that was really helpful with my level of communication, because I definitely was someone who would omit things. And although I'm still friendly with every ex I've ever had except one.
God.
Also one of them.
So, but
familiar.
the reason for
So
that though, the
familiar.
reason for that is because I never did anything to make them feel like we should break up, right? So like there was never a situation where people were pissed at me and that's why we broke up. You know what I'm saying? It's like he was a good person in my life. He decided to change the nature of our relationship, so I'm going to go along with that because I don't want to live without
So
this
you've
person
only
in my
just
life.
broken up with people in your past? Nobody's
The
broken
only,
up with you?
the only person who's ever broken up with me, funnily enough, is the polyamorous relationship.
You have never been broken up with
I've never
except
been
for
broken
her.
up with, no.
And you were the addition to the polyamorous relationship. So you met her in a relationship.
I met her, she had two partners, both of, one of which was kind of a free-flowing kind of guy and another one who was in a marriage. And when I met her, she was in that situation, right? So
It's too much.
She's a black woman.
That's too
Very
much.
clear. Let's be very clear. She was black.
When Joe, if this guy will
West
start to tell you
Indian.
stories about his life, you'll just.
Did you know the dude was married?
Nah, I don't remember. Every time it's something.
Where? There's more that gets added.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So he was married.
Like what?
Yeah, but I mean, his wife was.
I'm like, y'all damn shit, goddamn.
Exactly. You want to see? You
understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what
You
I'm
ain't been
saying?
around
Goddamn, Joe. I was with Joe for a minute. Shit, like, goddamn, Joe, you got a lot of shit going on.
He got a lot going on.
So yeah, so I meet this woman. I'll like do a real short version of the story. She's good friends with another friend of mine, and they're professional dancers. And so they were coming to LA, and I had seen her online already, so I kind of knew who she was, but I wasn't really that familiar with her. I met her once. So we met, we talked, conversation came up. She mentioned that she was polyamorous. Then there was this whole thing. Was like my homegirl was like, I don't know if you can handle that, Joe. I know you like the polygamy thing. You know, you joke around about that, but there's no way you're gonna be able to handle it. So I kind of felt like
So you've been joking about this polygamy thing for a while now.
Right, it's not just us.
So it's not just us.
So I met my uncle in 2010 when I came to Sierra Leone, and he had 2 wives at the time.
You only have
And-
one uncle that has 2 wives?
Well, he was the only one that I had met that that had multiple wives. And so when I met him and I saw them getting along, they were great. The kids got along and stuff. And he was like, "Oh, you in America? I can't believe you can only have 1 wife. That's crazy." Basically, is what he said to me.
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, now I understand where this is coming from. It's genetic. It's just not just."
Oh yeah, it's in you.
Yeah, it's just in me. It's not like and I always kind of just would keep it to myself, where I would joke around about it with my friends, but never really. So that was the first time I actually saw it in action. So anyway, fast forward, I meet this girl, this woman, and you know, she was mature in every way. She was like, you know, I know your ex, so I need to have a conversation with her before we go further, right? Because I know we do business together. I'm good friends with one of her friends. Her and I need to have a conversation, woman to woman. I was like, that's like real respectable. I get it. And there were a lot of moments like that along the way with her. And so and she was really good with conflict resolution. We would have conversations about things where she didn't appreciate or didn't like. And it was the first time I had a conversation with someone who, if I go on a date and I don't know what I said or did wrong, she could tell me from the perspective of someone who actually likes me. It is not just a friend giving me advice, like a woman friend giving me advice or a sister giving me advice. It's someone who actually wants to be in a relationship with me and knows what I'm looking for and can be like, yeah, this is where you went wrong, or that's not the right person, all those kinds of things. So it was really helpful actually in my dating life in LA. The problem came when I got too complacent, because I knew that she had other partners, and one of which she only spoke to like once a month.
That was the married man?
Yeah, he was married, and he was in China. So they rarely saw each other. But he made trips to the States for work and stuff like that, like once a quarter or something like that.
Was he Chinese? Right. Was he Chinese?
Yeah, he was half black, half Chinese, I think.
Ghanian.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember, actually. But anyway, so I was like, wow. So her and I only started speaking like a couple times a week. When we went from speaking every day to only a couple times a week. And her and I had a conversation. We had a conversation about my communication, and there were some lapses in communication. I hadn't been giving the attention that we originally agreed on, and so that was the consequence of it. And I understood it. You know, we talked about it. She told me what was going to happen if it didn't happen, and she stuck to it. So yeah, it was kind of a relief, to be honest, though, because there was a lot of first dates that ended at first dates.
I imagine.
Yeah.
You know,
especially if that was a requirement to tell them on the first date that you're involved in a polyamorous relationship.
It was a requirement to tell on the first date, and it was very difficult. There were a few women who decided to continue to hang out with me otherwise. But yeah, I mean, of course, you know, everyone thinks that they can change you.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that you know, there's this concept of mansplaining that happens a lot. People talk about mansplaining, like someone who's expressing something that's obvious to women because they think women are dumber.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that women don't realize is they think men don't know what they want. And a lot of times there are women who are dating you, trying to change you, thinking that you don't want that thing that you told them that you wanted.
In my experience, I realized that men do know what they want, but men don't always like necessarily pursue what they want.
Maybe, but what I'm saying is the woman that I'm with can't change me. I'll make a decision on what I want, but that woman thinks that she can change me. She thinks if I do this, this, and this, then he will change his behavior this way.
But that takes a lot of maturity and trial and error. I mean, I think
To understand that
yeah,
that's
to
not the
understand that you can't change a man.
Yeah.
And I think you
Yeah.
know, for us, sometimes I feel bad because I feel like we talk about African relationships, and again, very specifically Sierra Leonean relationships. That's all we can speak on. You know, we don't know what's going on in other people's countries. I'm sure in Nigeria they're very well adjusted and healthy relationships.
Okay.
Certainly.
But I feel like we talk a lot about it and it tends to be negative, but we have seen such a beautiful relationship in our parents.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful and healthy, I can tell you for a fizzity fact that my mother never gave my father a screaming monologue. That was never, ever.
Yeah.
Nothing that ever happened was a screaming monologue. My dad also wasn't out here putting her through the flux.
Yeah.
Like that some of our uncles and these are our cousins,
Our brothers.
these are brothers are putting the Sierra Leonean women through.
Yeah.
But like, it's just, I don't know. I guess the thing that makes me not even sad. I don't want you to think that we want you to change. We don't want you to change. It's just amazing to me that you have now brought this your lifestyle here to the continent, and you expected Sierra Leone.
Barack Obama trying to bring that American stuff over here. Over to Africa.
You're trying to bring that American stuff over here, and you expect a Sierra Leonean girl to not give you a screaming monologue. Monologue it will be. Like,
Oh yeah,
in
with
the
you,
world?
yeah, you gonna get a monologue.
You gonna get a monologue.
My question is,
Sure.
will you always like be living this lifestyle, or is it just because you're young, wild, and free right now, or like should these women just always be prepared to
Our audience wants to know.
kind of
Yeah.
share? I don't know.
Well, okay, so I would say this. Polyamory was something that I did. It's not something that I do.
That you do, so you're just
Yeah.
trying it out.
Yeah.
Life
Well, I mean,
experience.
it was like, you know, at some point I was all about new experiences.
Okay.
And I realized that for me, I don't want my woman with other men. Like someone who I see as someone I want to be with the rest of my life, I don't want her with other men. I don't mind if there are other women in the situation. I have no problem with more feminine
Of
energy.
course.
I love more
Such a
feminine energy. I do not need more masculine energy.
What if you meet but what if she find a woman that's more masculine than you?
Well, that's not ideal. So in that case, that does not work either.
This is still your girl.
That does not work either. So that's not the ideal scenario.
Got you.
But what I mean though is that I'm more open to that. That's the level of alternative lifestyle I'm more open to.
Oh, okay.
So you know, I tend to attract women who are bisexual. You know, that's just always been the thing. You know, and maybe it's because I'm also a person who's always been more open to alternative lifestyles. As long as you're not impacting me negatively, I don't care what you do.
But are you a bisexual yourself?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear for the audience.
Yeah, I guess that need.
It sounded like you was leaving.
That might need to be clarified.
Because I was like, is
Yeah.
this a new thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Because every time it's a new thing with
Yeah.
Joe.
And I have no problem if you are out there. That's cool.
I mean,
Do
shout
your
out to the
thing.
bisexuals.
Do your thing. Do whatever you do.
And the whole community.
Whatever you want to do, just don't negatively impact other people. Do whatever you want to do.
Right, right.
So, but for me, I'm always been fine with people living their own lifestyles and whatever, as long as it doesn't negatively impact me. When it comes to women, I come from a gene pool of folks who had multiple, always, whether they lied about it or not. And so now that I've been on the continent long enough, I understand who I am genetically, and I'm just not fighting it. That's the thing. I think everybody else wants me to change and try to fight it, and this.
The thing is, we don't want you to fight it.
Yeah.
I want you to actually fully embrace it.
Okay, I'm embracing it. You know, by the way, monogamy is generally around the world is only 500 years old. So let's also be clear on that. So for me, it's a new thing. Like not even the last 3 generations paternally have people be monogamous. Even on the maternal side, my grandfather and others weren't very monogamous either. So it's just genetically, it's in me. So at this point, I know it, and so I embrace it and I live it, and I just make sure that if you're dating me, you know it. And we figure out what our agreements are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm also not a dictator in my relationships. If there are certain boundaries that you do not want me to cross, then we'll have those agreements and we'll decide on it together. When I dated a girl in Sierra Leone, we had a specific agreement about what I could do while here and what I could do while there, and I adhered to it 100%. So if I like you enough and we have an agreement and we're moving forward together, whatever we decide on together, it's an agreement together. It's not me dictating.
All right.
I'm excited.
Well, you ladies, now we've got it all out here. It's on record. So when you see this man walking down the streets of Freetown and he looks like just one calm, nice guy, He is. But my sister, if he wants to become involved in that way with this guy, be prepared for a ride.
It's
And
always
there will
fun
be
one.
a few other people on the ride with you.
Man,
Possibly.
there will 100% be other people on the ride with you.
When my one ex spoke to my other ex, what she said to her was, "Enjoy the ride."
Well, you see?
Wow.
You see? On that note, guys. On that note, Joe, thank you once again. We're so happy to see you. Happy to have you in Ghana for a little while. Thanks for coming on our new platform, being our very first guest here on the Ghana Gamble.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great time.
It's been a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, what would you like to
platforms
tell?
can we see them on? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah. So you won't find a lot of these kinds of conversations, but you'll find a lot more about investing, moving, living on the continent of Africa. On Instagram, it's authentic_African. On YouTube, it's authentic African, and on TikTok, it's authentic__African.
Good. 2 underscores on TikTok.
2 underscores on TikTok.
All right, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Oh, Johannes. Oh.